Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our Insight 2011 webinar series. Brett Malone will be presenting today's webinar, Genesis, Where Insight Begins. We're happy to answer any questions on or offline depending on the nature of the question following Brett's presentation. So please type your questions into the chat box at the bottom of the panel on the right-hand side of your screen. And as I mentioned, we'll be happy to answer those questions either on or offline following Brett's discussion. And with that, I'd like to turn things over to Brett.
Thank you, Gina. It's great to be here, and I'm certainly very excited to be talking about our brand new product today, GENESYS. We have just launched, and as you can tell from the email, the invitations, and the various feedback that we've gotten from our main event last week, it's been a success. So we're excited today to be sharing with the rest of the folks out there who may not have made it to our user group conference that we're going to be rolling out and talking a little bit about this new product. So it's my pleasure, and the work that we've done here at Vitech to deliver systems engineering tools and capabilities we take very seriously. So we're excited because this really brings Vitech into a new level of capability. And as you know, Vitech has been in the business for 20 years of providing solutions for model-based systems engineering. We deliver these capabilities through software, services, training, and an overall dedication to the systems engineering space and domain. Aerospace, automotive, electronics, medical devices, alternate energy. So we cater across the board to a variety of industries, but primarily our focus is on providing you the ability to do better systems engineering. And so we're very glad to be providing the capabilities and discussing this today. I want to set the stage, and as you may be very familiar with Vitech through the core line of products, I want to set the stage for the evolution and the launch of GENESYS, and really what drove us to the solution that you'll see. And certainly, as you know, within the industry, the needs of the systems engineer has changed. And in particular, if you're in the market today delivering products, delivering services, or catering to, say, large defense programs, the game has certainly changed. We know a couple factors, and we've weighed in. We've leveraged these factors to drive the shape of the product. And first of all, we know that you work in a distributed manner, more so now than ever. Engineering and systems teams are far more virtual, and they have a lot of specialists that are feeding different parts of the program. So we need to adapt our solutions to fit those needs. We also know that you're dealing with shrinking teams. Less people are being asked to do more work now, and we know that the projects are coming faster, and the workload on the projects are greatly increased over the last 10, 15 years. In particular, companies are chasing more projects, so they typically are going to have more systems projects on the books at any one point in time, and they're trying to do those projects with a smaller team. So we know that it's important to deliver a solution that's going to answer those needs. Projects for you unfold quite a lot faster. So in the acquisition cycles, you're being asked to do more system studies earlier in the programs, and that's driving more insight, more need for insight earlier on in the programs. And we also know that the users are bombarded with more data sources. These are driving factors that shape the design of GENESYS. As you'll see, we have taken steps to design and account for a variety of diverse data sources that feed your model. And we've accounted for the fact that this is no longer a document-centric world. You're getting sources of data from across the enterprise in every format imaginable. We also know that your role in particular, the systems engineer role, has evolved. If we look at really being part of a team, the systems engineer is being asked to do a lot more diverse program activities, whether it's costing, scheduling, whether you're looking at the breakdown structures. So the systems engineer really needs to be armed with a tool that can help them seamlessly go across those domains. Be able to communicate logically and easily with a financial or cost management person. And that leads us into the system engineer really being the linchpin, needing to synthesize everything, and in particular pulling together information from various sources. And finally, we know that the technologies are unfolding very, very quickly. So the systems engineer needs to be able to adapt to the new technologies that are being proposed in a lot of our new capabilities. So that means that the tool has to be able to respond and reach out to a variety of new tools and new physics capabilities. We wouldn't be doing our job if we were not listening to what the customers needed and wanted. And this is a quick snapshot of a survey that was done in terms of understanding what's important from our market, what's important from our customers. Top of the list, ensuring a complete design, understanding the issues and the drivers behind requirements early on in a program. And as you can see through the list, being able to understand the problem-solution space. So this is clearly telling us that there's a need for a tool that helps deliver a complete and comprehensive design and capability, but it also has to be able to connect and work with within the enterprise. So we took all that information, we pulled it together, and our developers have been very hard at work to bring you GENESYS. And we're very excited to bring you a capability that is fresh, it's very approachable, it's a very easy to use systems engineering modeling tool, but it's also very rigorous, and it has all of the capabilities that have been culminating in 20 years of systems engineering within Vitek. So we're delivering you a very rigorous model-based systems engineering capability within GENESYS, and we're doing it in a very easy-to-use, highly integrated package. So the three main themes that you want to take away from this is the fact that we provide this modeling capability that's built on a layered model-based systems engineering approach. You may have heard about model-based systems engineering. You may be doing it in depth, or you may just now be getting involved. GENESYS makes a great platform to migrate from a document-centric approach to model-based approaches because it's very easy to use, and it has all the model-based constructs built in so that it gets new users up to speed quickly. The other thing that plays back against our requirements, this open API. We have made a significant shift, as you know and may be familiar with our core platform. We've made a significant shift to leverage a set of standards and an open platform that allows us to integrate with any source of data. So we now can reach out and communicate with requirements management tools, with Excel spreadsheets, with just about any, with SharePoint and project management tools, just about any application that would feed your model or provide sources of data that makes it easier for you to do the modeling. And as we've talked about, the use, the learning curve has been greatly reduced because we're leveraging a lot of standard technologies that people are familiar with. This is a close-up view, and as you can see, if you're coming from the core background, this should feel very familiar to you, but at the same time, it should also have a fresh look and feel, and it should operate in a much cleaner and crisper way and give you all the ease of use. So we've leveraged the ribbon technology to be able to layer out the menus in a very standard, approachable, findable way. We continue to expose the database and the elements, and we spend a lot of time making our graphics very clean and easy to interpret and very functional at the same time. We spend some time also giving the user the ability to navigate through larger models. So we can build very complex representations or diagrams, but still easily zoom in and find the area that you'd like to work on. And again, we've leveraged a lot of very familiar drag and drop routines. One thing that's very critical is that we have in no way compromised the integrity of the modeling approach. So we deliver a very complete design. One of the tenets that you should know about Vitek is that we base our methodology, and all of our tools have a methodology built into them that allows you to go through an incremental refinement of your model. We call this a layered approach. We call it strata. It's a methodology, but it's, in essence, it's just good engineering practice. So there's rigorous, complete model building capability within GENESYS. And in particular, for example, you're looking at a sequence diagram. So we provide you SysML representations. Previously, you saw the activity diagram. But we are able to give you a layered approach where you can incorporate requirements. You can build out functional specifications. You can assign those functions to a particular part of a physical architecture, and you can verify your design. So we spend a lot of time making sure that your designs are verifiable and making sure that you have high level of traceability. That's important, and as you can see in the chart here in the upper right-hand corner, we're pulling information from a variety of sources. For example, the risk element is connected to a work breakdown structure element, which ultimately rolls up into an outbound integration for, say, a project management or a program management. Our main theme within GENESYS is that you're highly connected. Your engineers are connected because it's a collaborative environment. 5 users can get together, collaborate over the same model. You can install and leverage a server, which would allow unlimited numbers of users to get connected. And we also connected sources of data. We've talked about integration with Microsoft Excel, with requirements management tools, with system design and enterprise architecture tools. So the ability to reach out and feed your model with other sources of data is important. And also being able to connect multiple projects where as you begin to build systems of systems, this linkage is really important. As I mentioned, we take pride in the fact that GENESYS has a significant focus on usability. We listen very intently to the users of model-based systems engineering tools, and we looked at a lot of tools that are out on the market, and we looked at the difficulty that users have with a lot of tools. And one thing that came back that was very, very common was the fact that usability. These tools need to be very approachable. So we started with that as a theme, and we built on it. So users have easy to navigate constructs. You know, the drag and drop documentation, document builder, the spyglass that will allow you to navigate through complex models and identify and zero in on the parts of your models that you want. And then graphical constructs to be able to drag and drop and build your model graphically. So really gone are the days of where you have to enter a lot of information and navigate through cumbersome relationship building. We can navigate all of that by building the entities right on the screen. I mentioned briefly also that we're bringing a brand new report generator to the table, and this is something that we feel is very important. GENESYS, any model-based systems engineering tool is only as good as the kind of output you can provide. We know from years of core user feedback that generating clean and easy to read and navigable reports is critical. So we built a brand new report generator from the ground up, and we focused on the fact that you can customize and build the kind of reports you need and then save them off. We give you the ability to build these graphically just by simply dragging and dropping elements from the screen. And we also give you the ability to preview that document. So we give you a very powerful and flexible tool that will help you build reports, help you navigate through the model, and highlight specifications and output specifications in the format that you want. This might take the form of a system specification document, it might take the form of a test and evaluation plan, or it just might take the form of a very simple review of a model in terms of the attributes and the properties. We certainly would encourage you to reach out to us. We would love to get you involved in a test drive of this. We think you're going to like the look and the feel of it. We think you're going to like the functionality of it under the hood. And we think you're going to really appreciate the depth of the modeling capability. So it's very approachable, but it's also very rigorous in terms of building models that are highly connected. And we know that, you know, from the survey and from the information, what's important is that we do have a very complete design environment. Under the hood, really, we provide you with a very approachable framework to build on GENESYS. So one of the things that we heard loud and clear was the fact that we really want this opened up. We really want to be able to tie together with other users, and we really want to tie in other sources of data. So we leveraged a very scalable framework that makes it easy to bring very simple technology. So our scripting engine is now in Visual Basic, which makes it very easy for you to find someone or for you yourself to write very simple scripts that will allow you to navigate through a model, that will allow you to reach out and change models or integrate other pieces of data. We've also published a standard API. API is just an application programmer interface to allow you to program the types of integration or interfaces that you might need. So for example, reaching out to a web service, reaching out to a source of data that might be published somewhere else. We also thought a lot about deployment. You know, one of the key pieces of feedback that we've received is the ability to launch this into the enterprise, get more people using it, and get them using it in the right ways. So we've leveraged the server capability to host and provide GENESYS in a very scalable way so that model consistency exists, configuration management, and the ability to track everything on the model so that we can leverage this framework. So it's really important that new users have a framework that's easy to approach. And you know, we're very excited about GENESYS being able to be deployed based on these standards. Your IT shops will appreciate using the standard SQL Server database. So we are leveraging a lot of the Microsoft technology here across the stack, from Visual Basic scripting to the deployment down to the SQL Server. And that gives us a lot of standardization, and it makes it a lot easier for you to get this into your IT shops, whether you're a large company or a small operation. The standard Microsoft environment will make it very easy to get up and running. So there won't be a lot of unknown technologies. There won't be a lot of risk involved with with using it. And one thing that I would say is that there will be a follow-on webinar next week that will talk specifically about the connected nature of GENESYS. And in particular, we're going to talk and show you specific examples of how to use GENESYS to integrate other sources of data, whether it's coming from parametric tools for functional analysis, whether it's coming from requirements tools, or integrating with cost and schedule analysis tools. So as I know that you may be interested in some of these topics, you know, you're going to get a first-hand chance to see these activities, and in particular get a first-hand chance to see what the integration capabilities look like for GENESYS.
And Brett, would that include getting data out of GENESYS as well?
Absolutely. So the ability to reach in and provide a very simple, be able to introspect the model, and then functionally be able to pull the information out of the model and provide that as a source of data in another location. I know you're anxious to see just what this might look and feel like. And Gina, I know you're fielding some questions right now. What I thought I'd do is just give you a very quick test drive and give you the look and the feel of this. So as you know, GENESYS is built on a lot of the similar constructs that we've had within Core. And so if you're a Core user, this will feel very familiar, but at the same time, as you can tell, the diagrams, the capabilities have all been updated. So if I want to pull up an activity diagram, we can do this very easily. And as I mentioned, the navigation tool now allows you to very easily find where you are in the model, and we can zoom in certain spots of the model and provide those constructs. Drag and drop capability allow you to add functions and insert things like entities right onto your diagram. And the scaling capabilities of the model allow you to adjust and provide very clean line commands, clean orientation as well. The the ability to look at the model and understand functionally what's going on is also critical, so we can provide a lot of the same constructs that you're familiar with, and whether it's in a hierarchy diagram, whether it's in an activity or a sequence diagram. We've also provided, as you know, the full capability for the simulation. So the simulation engine is also included in GENESYS, and so you can verify your designs and go through a rigorous step-by-step function. So as you look at building up step-by-step, where if I'm looking at the requirements capability of being able to enter a new requirement, you can see that we have requirements overall for this sample model. This is just our simple air traffic control model. And you can see that we have a requirements traceability breakdown. And this provides you with a very easy and simple way to understand what's behind the scenes, what's behind the hood of each requirement, and most importantly, what the traceability of this requirement is. So the overall ATC requirement has relationships. For example, these functions provide a basis. These functions are a basis of that requirement. A lot of the similar capabilities, but at the same time, when you look at the traceability, when you look at your components, for example, we can provide you with a very simple layout, whether you're looking at a physical block diagram for the system and a representation. And again, as I mentioned, if you want to zoom in on looking at parts of this model, being able to annotate and put different parts of the system in play, and then also just looking at being able to resize. So graphically, things can come together a lot cleaner for you. And as I mentioned, the functional aspect of this, being able to look at the diagrams for the functions and being able to provide really rich annotation, whether you're looking at the activity diagram, as you may be familiar more with a EFFBD, all of the representations are encompassed in GENESYS. So we provide you with both SysML and traditional representations, which makes it very easy for you to go back and forth between different views and different representations. And the simulation engine has a new look and feel to it. It has a lot of similarity to the prior models, but at the same time, we also can show you how to build these models in a simple way and connect back to the parameters. So I would encourage you to submit some questions. Gina, you may have a few questions online here. And I would also, in this time, encourage you to reach out to someone that you may be working with at Vitech now and talk to them about possibly getting involved in a test drive evaluation, a pilot assessment. We understand that there might be an appropriate application for you now. The webinar on Tuesday will definitely highlight the elements of the integration capabilities, and you might find that there's a suitable project within your organization in particular for the integration capability. But we would encourage you to reach out to us and first of all, give us your feedback, and secondly, give us some ideas on how you can see this fitting into your organization in a pilot environment. We think that the capabilities combining both the seamless modeling, the connectivity, and a very easy, approachable, lower learning curve gives you a great environment for success on your projects. So with that, let me thank you for your time, and I will turn it over to Gina, who's fielding some of our Q&A, and I'll be glad to answer some of the questions online now. If for some reason we don't get to your question, we will make sure that we follow up via email offline.
Absolutely, Brett. Thank you very much. There was one question that I thought maybe if you would just be able to give a high-level overview, but essentially, is GENESYS the same as CORE?
It's a good question. We built on a lot of what we know makes CORE a strong product, and then we expanded it to make it accessible for more, easier to use for more, and more connected to the other elements of the enterprise. So certainly there's a lot of the capabilities within core you can easily migrate over to GENESYS. But what you'll find within GENESYS is it becomes a more scalable platform, and certainly a better platform for new users who want to get involved and get up and running quickly. We have a lot of the ability to connect with other sources of data, and the scripting capabilities are quite a bit different. The document generation capabilities are brand new, quite a bit different from core, and the ability to reach out to other sources of data. So there's a lot of separation, or there's a lot of differences between GENESYS, but clearly you'll see that GENESYS and core share a lot of common roots.
Thanks, Brett. Will you still be able to make modifications to the schema in GENESYS?
Yeah, absolutely. The schema is open and available, and in fact, more so now than before, because you can introspect and update through different functions. So it's still very easy to work with the schema. It's very easy to adapt the schema and add to it. It's also very easy from an API level to work with the tool without the interface, and other sources of information. For example, other programs could work with the GENESYS model and create relationships, create entities, create functions on the fly behind the scenes. So there's a lot of new capability that you can do, and certainly we understand that having the right schema, being able to edit and have the right schema is very important.
Great. Thank you. And can you port data from core into GENESYS?
Absolutely. You can integrate the core models. We can read the core models, update them, and get them working in GENESYS. We have a translator that reads them in natively.
Excellent. Thank you. I think based on all the questions, the rest will be great questions for offline answers and discussions. And Brett, if you're good, then I think that about wraps it up.
Yep. Let me remind you again, our next webinar will be Tuesday at 3 o'clock, and yours truly presenting on more specifically the enterprise integration. So if you heard some topics here today that you're interested in that might pique your interest, this is going to be the follow-up companion presentation that gets into the details. And we've got two really good examples of how to bring in sources of information, how to bring in and integrate data into the model, and also export data from the model for other sources. So we're going to cover both sides.
Great. Thank you. Hopefully everyone can join us, and like I said, we'll make sure to get the rest of the questions triaged up to the right people internally and get you those answers as soon as possible. So thank you everyone for joining us. Brett, thank you very much for presenting, and we hope to see you next Tuesday.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.